Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken van Jan.
Nebbig.
Ver poepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertut.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
And away we go!
Hey, here we are, flooding your ears with another exciting episode of
American Jew! I am Jordon Ferber.
I'm Jonathan Randall.
And I'm excited to be here with you. Good news this week.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. Those anti-Semites in Belgium got something coming to them because they just elected their first Jewish prime minister and female prime minister.
Yeah.
She's Jewish and she's female. It's amazing. Ha, Belgium. Have a parade about that.
I'm kvelling already.
So that's great that, I guess her mother was Jewish. She had ancestors that were in the Holocaust, and now she is the prime minister in Belgium. So hopefully those Belgians will stop being so anti-Semitic, and she'll, stop having, parades that are, promoting anti-Semitism with their floats.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Apparently she only just recently came out as a Jewish person. Like she's been hiding it for a while.
Okay, well, I could understand why, I guess, growing up in Belgium. But I guess now she is understanding and respecting her Jewish heritage a little bit more and exploring it.
Well, I'm excited to see what the changes are going to be.
Well, I hope there are changes. Sophie Wilms.
Yes.
So, hey, Sophie Wilms, we love you. We're so happy you got elected as the first Jewish prime minister of Belgium.
Yes, mazel to you.
Mazel tov to you.
Mazel.
All right, so we want to – this is a pretty big – Torah Portion.
It is.
It's so big, it was even a Steve Carell movie.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with how the Torah opens. Like the first two passages, the first 2 weeks that we've done now are the two of the biggest stories in the Bible that we talk about.
I mean, they're pretty big ones, I guess. We were talking about how at the end of it, it was just kind of like repeating a lot of the same things and was kind of like dragging on. Like it really could have ended. Like
right.
It seemed like a couple chapters earlier. It was like a bad romance novel. But now these stories are packed with excitement and things happening, big things. At
the end of last week's Torah portion, last week's was Adam and Eve. They ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge, and they were banished from the Garden of Eden, and they started multiplying. And God came down and was like, "Oh no, I've done a terrible thing. These people don't know anything about me, and they don't care about me. I'm going to kill them all." But Noah says, "Wait."
Is that what happens? I thought it was a little different. I thought the people were evil. They only cared for themselves. They took advantage of the weak, and they were just they had no morality at all. But Noah was a good man.
Yeah, Noah was like the one righteous man.
Noah was the
bunch.
one righteous man. So God told him to build this ark and get 2 of each animal, 7 of the ones that are kosher.
Right.
We hadn't really discussed kashrus yet, so I don't know how Noah knew that. But anyways, to get 7 of those and to gather up his family and to make it to the specifications that God wanted this ark and has like a window and crap, and that it was gonna rain 40 days, 40 nights.
Yeah, God basically says, okay, the rest of these people are garbage people. We're gonna just we're gonna get rid of all of them. You're gonna be in charge of helping to repopulate the planet. To Noah.
Okay. Now Noah and his sons and, all the animals on board, they are going to repopulate the earth.
He doesn't say anything about the fish, by the way. You don't have to bring the fish onto the boat.
Well, I mean, the whole place is flooded. I guess the fish are going to be okay.
Right.
It rained for a while, and then, the waters, swelled for a while, and then, he was waiting for the water to go down, and he had to bring enough food for all the animals, too. On this boat. I mean, this is a big job for Noah.
It is.
And his sons. So Noah does what he says, and he's
got a couple of birds. He sends a raven out to see if
He sends a raven, and the raven's like, never more! No. The raven tells Noah to, fuck off, and then he starts sending doves out.
Right.
And I guess nothing happens. Then he sends a dove, and a dove brings back, an olive branch, which is, a sign of peace now. But I guess it was kind of saying that the waters have gone down and the bird was be able to get it. And then when he sent out the bird, I think another time the bird didn't even come back. And then he was like, all right, guys, like time to get out of this boat.
Yeah, finally.
This was long. Like, I'm so sick of you guys being in this confined quarters for all this long has been horrible.
I know. How long do you think it was before his kids were like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
That had to happen in the first couple minutes being on this boat.
They were on there for a year.
Yeah, I think more than a year, right?
I think it said a full year.
Okay.
It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and then after that, it took a while for the waters to subside. So
no, before that, like the waters were swelling. It was a while.
Yeah.
It was a while that this was going on. Yeah, wow, that was a long time. I hope they brought a lot of food.
Yeah.
They really needed to ration that. And then, so then they give a sacrifice to God. God tells them that before, I guess Adam and Eve were only allowed to eat vegetables. They were vegetarians. And Noah, now God tells them that they're allowed to eat meat, but they can't eat meat if the flesh is taken from the animal when it's alive.
Right.
Thank
gotta,
gosh.
yeah.
Yes. Don't be an idiot asshole. Have empathy for animals. At least have the decency to kill the animal before you eat it. Don't just like start eating it while it's alive. So Noah, what a journey. Big story of the Bible. Noah's Ark, one of the most famous stories like we were talking about.
And he builds a vineyard.
Oh yeah, he builds a vineyard and he gets drunk for the first
he gets
time.
Drunk.
He becomes the first drunk ever.
Yeah, and two of his sons help to like hide the shame. And,
well, I guess one of the sons sees his nakedness. What's with all the nakedness? Adam and Eve, they realize they're naked. Noah's nakedness. Who cares? If sons see their dad naked,
right?
I don't think that's like a thing. But anyways, yeah. One of the sons went and told the other two, and the other two like try to cover him up, and they put their back. They made sure not to see him, so he wouldn't be shameful.
Right.
I mean, what did he have? A really little dick? I don't understand. What's he going to be ashamed of?
Well, apparently the third son he gets punished because he basically points it out.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at dad's a mess over there.
He does get punished, and he gets like exiled somewhere, right?
Yeah. So then all of the ancestors of Noah and his family grow up.
And unlike the people, before with Noah's time before the ark, these people are more good. They're not just looking out for themselves.
Yeah.
They're looking out for the whole like community. They're looking out for each other, and things are good. And then they want to build a tower. This is the Tower of Babel. This is another kind of story, biblical story that's very big. They want to build this tower all together. This is their city, and they want to build it all the way up into the heavens. And God takes issue with that. He does not like that. So what he does is he mixes them all up so they have to talk different languages. Like he messes their language. There was only one language, and then he makes it be 70 languages, and they can't understand each other. And they give up on building the Tower of Babel, and they all start going in like different directions.
Right, they scatter amongst the earth.
So that's kind of like the explanation of why there are so many languages and people all over the world.
It's kind of interesting how much of a dick God is.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, maybe he shouldn't have given us like free will or something because he doesn't like what we do with it. It doesn't seem like it makes sense. He's like, I'm going to give you free will, but if you don't do what I like, you're going to pay for it.
Right.
So yeah, he floods everybody. Noah has to, go down the boat. Like, why couldn't he? Why do you have to do that, anyways? Why couldn't he just like snap his finger and have them all die? Or like, why couldn't he like Thanos them?
Yeah, right. Why
and just have them all like disappear? Why do you have to like do the whole like flood thing? Like the animals, why did all the animals have to die? They didn't do anything. Why did they have to repopulate? There's only two of some of them. It must have taken them a little while to repopulate. I mean, good thing there wasn't like a PETA back then. They would have been furious with God. They would have been protesting the ark and being like, more animals,
Well, there probably were people protesting the ark, but they didn't make it into the Bible. I just think it's, God just looks down at his creation and he's like, no, this is no good. I got to start from scratch.
Right, I got to erase this.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'll leave that one part. That one part good.
That one guy, he'll do.
Him and his family are all right.
Right. So then they start to be prosperous and they're following the laws, but they want the world and the universe to see that they exist. So they start to build this tower and God's like, no. That's no good. You guys have to be closer to.
Yeah, let's confuse you guys. Now
Yeah.
you all speak different languages. Like we can't. No matter what we do, we can't do good, right? Because the people before Noah, they were like evil. They had no morals. They fought against each other. Whatever. They took advantage of each other. So he wiped them out. And then the people, they were working together and they want to build a thing up into the heavens. And God's like, hell no. And by the way, I don't see how they could have built something so high into the heavens, anyways. Like with the things that they had for architecture back then, it seems totally implausible anyways that it was going to go like super high into the heavens. And like what does that even mean, into the heavens? Like back then was like God just hanging out like right above the atmosphere or something in the clouds? Like it just seems crazy.
It is crazy. And he sees it and he's like, oh, if they complete that tower, then nothing will stop them from achieving, more than that.
Yeah. Why is that bad? Don't you want your creations to like do good things and make good things? I'm confused.
He doesn't explain why.
He's like, I'm God. I don't have to explain myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I guess they start, the descendants of Noah, all the Babel people, they spread off. But then one of the sons of Noah, the ancestor, ends up being Abraham.
Right, the first Jew.
Abraham's the first Jew. I guess that's, spoiler alert, Jordon. Jeez. I guess that's more what we're going to talk about in next week's Torah portion. But yes, so much is happening now. I don't know. Noah's Ark, people say that like the Ark still exists in some places.
Oh, really?
And they have like replicas that you could go to and visit, that they built them like with the same measurements or whatever that like God I love it too that God's like, build an ark, but build it the way I want it built. Like what a control freak.
Well, he gives the blueprints for like the tabernacle and everything in the desert later.
Yeah, he's like, I want it just right. This is how I want it. Like you do it and you do it like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Noah is a popular name still.
Yeah.
Good biblical name.
Good biblical name. A Jewish name or a non-Jewish name.
Yeah, and just because your name's Noah doesn't mean you're going to like be a captain of a ship or anything.
Well, so that was a long time ago that God flooded the earth to get rid of all the evil people. You think we're due for another one?
I mean, maybe it's. I mean, some religious people might argue that that's what global warming is, maybe, or with the ice caps melting and the sea levels rising, it's more of just a slower version. But in the Bible, they're all like Noah lived to be 900 and something. I feel like the concept of years had to be very different, because we know that people like back in history, they died so much younger than we are living, because like they didn't have all the medicine and their lives were so much harder. So it's like crazy to think that people were living to be like 1,000 years old.
Well, people have been lying about their ages for ages.
So in the old days, they used to lie about being older than they really were. They're like, I'm 1,000. Like, I'm only 750.
Well, I mean, you know how children are too. When you see somebody that's much older than you, like, how old are you? 200? It could be that.
You think that's what happened? Like, oh, Noah's so old. He remembers before the flood. I don't know. It's like, I don't like this whole thing, God creates the Garden of Eden, and then he kicks us out. He's like, fuck the Garden of Eden. He has this whole world. He spent, 6 whole days making it. And then he floods it all out. It's kind of like having a kid and it does something you don't like, and you're just kind of like, I'm going to take you out.
I mean, it goes back to the whole thing of what we were just talking about a minute ago about he gave us free will, but doesn't actually want us to use it. He wants us to come.
Well, he wants us to use it the way he wants us to.
Right. He wants us to use our free will to bend to his will. It doesn't sound like a very proficient God at the very beginning to like really fuck everything up twice.
Hey, I mean, God is flawed too. We were made in his image. He should have a little more compassion for us, a little more rachmanis, my mother would say, for us. So yeah.
Not that this is a concept that I believe in, but I always feel like people who say, "Oh, it's God's will," or
I hate that.
God has a plan. God has no plan. Yeah. Look at this.
God works in mysterious ways.
But I mean, you read these stories, and it's like all of God's first plans really blew up in his face, and he didn't know how to fix it, and it's still a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. This might just be a story. This might be kind of some sort of allegory for like being good and living like a moral life.
Like maybe if he hadn't confused everybody with the language and scattered us around the earth, we would understand what everybody's talking about, and we wouldn't have all these problems.
Yeah, there wouldn't be so much war. We'd be united. There wouldn't be such bigotry, hatred, xenophobia. Like so many things, I guess, came from this. Where just because we were building this tower that I love how God is such. It's like, oh my God, they're gonna reach me. They're going to reach me with the tower. How about this, God? Why couldn't you just make it that, like, you were further away or something, or that they would never reach you no matter how high they go? It just seems like this is trying to, like, explain why there are different people.
Right, essentially. Obviously.
Like, let's just add in that Tower of Babel thing. 7. I wonder how many languages there are. Are there more than 70 languages? I don't know. That's something we should.
I mean, there's more than one sign language, so there's got to be more than 70 actual languages.
Oh, you're right. I wonder if sign language is one of the ones he divided them up. Like, one of the groups, he's like, now you're deaf. Tomorrow's Halloween, Jordan.
It is.
I wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween growing up because
really?
Yeah, because we were Jewish and my parents were like, it's a pagan holiday and we weren't allowed to do it. It looks like so much fun. But I wasn't allowed to have anything to do with it. Maybe that made me a little curmudgeon-y about it now as an older man. I'm not really like, so like, you're asking me, what are you going to dress up as? I'm like, I'm not going to dress up as anything. I'm an adult. And you're like, I got my costume ready. And I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I feel like I missed out on Halloween. It's a joyous time. Celebrating fall, being silly. People really like it. So I don't know. I wish I would have been able to celebrate it more. I
mean, you celebrated Purim.
We did, but
a lot harder than I did growing up.
I mean, yeah, celebrated it, did all the stuff for Purim.
Got dressed up for Purim.
Of course. Shalach Manot, the Grogers, Humantashen, all that good stuff.
You could go as Purim tomorrow, dress up as a
Humantashen?
As a Humantashen.
That's actually would be a funny Halloween costume to be a Humantashen.
Right.
Or to be Haman.
I have to think that, the God of the Old Testament would definitely smite us for Halloween. And, for dressing up like that and just, carousing on
for all these
on
girls
a day
that feel like they got to dress up as the sluttiest version of whatever they want to be.
Right? I mean, this is a holiday that doesn't celebrate God. So, he's like, oh, that's probably not good.
Okay, yeah. What does it celebrate?
Well, I don't know. I'm hopefully not going to eat too much candy.
I will be shopping for candy the next day.
Yes,
that is the Jewish way.
The 50% off candy.
Like the longer you go, the more less it gets.
Yeah,
the more the discount gets. Starts at 50, then it gets to 70, and if you hold out and you get there the right time, you can get it at like 90% off.
You get
those Reese's peanut butter pumpkin cups.
Right.
That's what I like.
You get like a whole bag of them, and like, I don't care what size they are. This is the fun size right here, this giant bag of candy.
It's true. I think all candy is fun size, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so hopefully we don't get washed into the sea.
I hope so. Maybe it's going to be the beginning of the flood.
I'm going to collect 2 sexy cats and 2 sexy giraffes and 2 sexy... 2 sexy people of every animal.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And 7 of the kosher ones.
And 7 of the kosher ones. There you go. Well, thank you guys for listening. I think I feel like I learned more about the story of Noah this week than I had previously known.
Well, thanks. I'm going to take credit for that. Check me out on Instagram at Jonathan Randall.
You can always find me on the gram at BeatnikNudnik. We're on all other social media platforms as American Jew Podcast, except on Twitter, we're American Jew Pod. You can send us an email at AmericanJewPodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Hey, don't be an evil person, be a righteous one.